few breaking waves on the bar there. Now it's really cold. Oh, whoa, shit! In fact, already the wind's really kicked in. Sitting on 9 to 10 knots. Taking a bit of water over the bow onto the clears. Holy schmoly, that was a big one. That's Cape Barren Island. Wow, well, all I can say is wow. Well, after 8 days of being pinned in St Helens by northerly winds, we've finally escaped from St Helens. And we're commencing our crossing of Bass Strait today, but we're going to do it in 2 stages. First we're going to go across Banks Strait, and the plan is to spend tonight at Cape Barren Island, and then tomorrow morning set off from Cape Barren Island for the run through to Eden. Goodbye St Helens, it's been nice knowing you. Quite an interesting sunrise this morning. The sun just coming through one little hole in a cloud. It's supposed to have westerly winds, but here they bend around the coast, so they're going to be more northwest to north, so not quite sure when the sails will go up. But we've got to get out of the Georges Bay first, and that's what we're doing now. It's fantastic to be out on the water again and underway after the time in St Helens. We've had pretty much northerly winds the entire time since we left Hobart, which is why we're stuck here, because it's the last really place you can stay on the east coast in northerly conditions. Today we're expecting 20 to 25 knots from the west, so deep low to the south of Tasmania, and hopefully we'll find a good anchorage at Cape Barren Island. And then tomorrow morning we're expecting a southwest change, and that should take us directly to Eden. Today's a day sail to Cape Barren Island, maybe 7 hours to get there, so we'll see how we go, and hopefully the anchorage won't be too lumpy when we finally make it. Okay, looking forward to a good day. We're over the shallowest part, which is just back down at the end of that spit. And now we're in one of the narrowest parts of the channel, quite close to the beach here. Just coming up to the start of the stone wall which leads out to the training wall. The purpose of the training wall is to confine the water when it comes in and out from the tides, accelerates the speed of the water up, and that tends to keep the sand clear in the over the bar, and it makes it deeper and a bit safer for boats to go in and out. Just going out over the bar now, that's the training wall on the right hand side that I mentioned there. And at this particular point here, we come in pretty close to a large set of granite rocks. We've got quite a bit of tide coming in, a bit of swell. You can see the heaving and the swirling of the water here as the current is ripping in. It's quite dramatic actually. The water's a beautiful colour. Oh, it's so clear. And yeah, quite a spectacular entrance. A few breaking waves on the bar there. That's alright, we're not going over there. So it's goodbye to Georges Bay. It's been a great haven in the northerly weather, but like I said before, It's great to be off. The water is astonishingly clear. The most gorgeous colour. And I'm just coming up now on the end of that rocky bit is our last mark. That's the starboard lateral mark for when you're coming in. Rather unusual looking thing, we can't really figure out what it is. Blue and yellow with some weird bits of metal on the top. Well, I've had to put another layer of clothing on. It's still cold. It's very heavily overcast and quite gloomy. It's a shame because it was this lovely starry morning early this morning before sunrise. And now it's really cold. But we're going north. Yo beauty. We're just coming up to Eddystone Point, which is where we leave Tasmania, the mainland of Tasmania, and start heading across for our crossing at Banks Strait, which is between mainland Tasmania and the Furneaux group, specifically Cape Barren Island where we're going. And the clouds have gone, the sun's come out, it's cold, but we're stonking. Got a full main, partly reefed Yankee, which is on the inner forestate, and we are officially stonking at between 8 to 10 knots. Our fearless captain has a grin from ear to ear. Arr, Froster, Froster! Oh, it's been a long wait, but it's been worth it. This is absolutely fabulous sailing now. Whoa, shit! I took a wave all over my freshly laundered pants. Too bad. Didn't take long before I got covered in salt water again. Well, there's always a bit of suffering associated with bass photos and videos. Going so quick, getting a bit of water coming up through the trampoline mat, which was where I was lying at the time. I'm going to get wet again, I know, so I'm not going to hang around for very long. That's the Eddystone Lighthouse, Eddystone Point Lighthouse in the distance there. Very significant milestone on the east coast. The land bears away to the northwest from there, and we're going straight up, so we'll be exposed to stronger winds and bigger seas. In fact, already the winds really kicked in, 20 knots. Whoa! And quite a much bigger swell running. What a sail! Sitting on 9 to 10 knots. Partly filled Yankee and the full main, at about 20 knots on the beam, a bit forward of the beam, and beautiful. Well, we're out in Banks Strait now. We've got about a 2 metre swell on the beam, some wind waves. The wind is, and the waves have turned around to the west as they funnel through Banks Strait. Got up to 35 knots, 25 to 35 knots there for a while, so we had to put in a reef in the main, and then shortly after that we had to put in a second one. And it's about half filled in, taking a bit of water over the bow onto the clears. So it's pretty rough. lumpy. Much better now with our reduced sail plan. Two reefs quite deep, but we really do need it. You can see Cape Barren Island in the distance now. That's where we're headed. Some quite decent swells coming in there. Taking over. Rock and roll. So with half-filled Yankee and two reefs in the main, we're still sitting on around about 9 knots. We are officially stonking. Holy schmoly. It's much more sheltered and comfortable in the saloon because it's the first day out in rough seas for quite a long time. Spending a fair bit of time out in the cockpit where it's a lot colder and windier, but more conducive to feeling well because it's pretty lumpy. This is the view from my cabin window. The seas are very confused, which is what's making it a little bit uncomfortable, but we're going a good speed, and maybe in another 3 hours, well, that's quite a good way, that one there. Maybe in another 3 hours we'll end up in the lee of Cape Barren Island. ETA is about 3 PM. We have to get there in the daylight because of the nature of these anchorages. None of us have been there before, so it's imperative that we arrive in daylight and get the anchor down. At our current rate of mostly around 9 knots. Yeah, shouldn't be a problem. Holy schmoly, that was a big one. Got one of the dagger boards halfway down today to give us a bit of steerage and keep us on track. We're about 2/3 of the way across Banks Strait now. Pretty blowy, and we've got really short seas. Some of them quite high and with very steep faces. Oh, there goes one. Had a few waves come over that quarter of the deck where I'm sitting now, so I'm hoping it's a good video, but I don't want one of the really big ones to come because chucked about 50 litres of seawater into the cockpit. Clark Island now clearly visible on the horizon. Maybe in another hour we might be in the lee of some of that. Conditions should ease off a bit. And it's pretty cold. Ooh.
Hours in the middle of the day where it gets above 10 degrees, but the rest of the time it's 7 or 8 degrees. So you never, nothing else ever warms up. But if you look at the weather forecast, it's like 7 to 14.
Yeah, but
it's only 14 for half an hour. The rest of the time it's 7 to 10.
That's Cape Barren Island, now looming large. You probably can't see it, but there's a long spit of land coming out from that right-hand peak. And then offshore there's a number of rocks strewn everywhere. So we actually have to make our rounding 2 miles offshore from that peak. Basically 1 mile offshore from the end of the land. And pretty blowy now, but the sea's a little bit calmer, just a little bit, now that we're starting to come in the lee of Clark Island, more or less. But we'll need to find a little bit of shelter once around this headland to try and get the sails down. But it's pretty blowy. Oh, it's 3:30 in the afternoon. Finally arrived, more or less. Motoring now in against quite a strong west-southwest wind. It's the mountains on Cape Barren Island directly in front of us, and off to the left is Cape Barren itself. Between the green of the cape and the mountains there's the start of the beach. That's Burgess Bay, and that's where we're heading now. Got quite a bit of a northeasterly swell running here, just going into that bay, so we don't know how we'll go, but hopefully this will be it for the night. Anchor's down, 3:30, and what a fabulous place this is. Burgess Bay on Cape Barren Island. Oh, I'd love to be able to get out there and do some exploring of those big sand dunes up the back. Unfortunately, it's just going to be an overnight stop and probably off about 5 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning, which is a shame having come all this way, but we only have 1.5 day weather window. That's why we have to go tomorrow, and we have to go all the way to Eden, because after that the northerlies are going to come back in and can't afford to get stuck here. Never mind, maybe next time. Wow, well, all I can say is wow. What a fantastic day sailing that was. Absolutely flying up the coast. Pretty rough, pretty windy. Maybe 7 hours, 6.5 hours to do 56 miles. Mostly sitting in the second half, certainly over 9 knots. Yeah, anchorage is pretty good. There's a bit of a northeasterly swell, but hey, it's great to be here. Picked down, and it's going to be time for a bit of food and a bit of something else. Probably a nice little whiskey to celebrate. What a day of champagne sailing in the Furno group. We've now left the mainland of Tasmania. Welcome.